actually hit a deer.
What?
Oh, no. Yeah.
Is it dead?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's horrible.
Wow.
Are you guys all right?
Yeah, it just broke us out.
It did?
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. We got it pretty good.
Yeah, it must have frucked you out big time.
Fucking weird. Well, you know what I say? I say one down, a couple 100,000 to go.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean to get on my high horse, but I'm telling you, I do not like the deer. I'm sick of it. They're taking over. They're like rats. They're destroying the ecosystem. I see a dead deer on the side of the road. I think to myself, that's a start.
I don't even understand that.
I'm just
sorry,
saying,
Mike.
you know what? I am grateful for what you've done today. I don't like them.
We got that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you guys look so wiped out.
Yeah.
Do your tour.
They
Can
just
you, like,
got-
unpack first?
You want to unpack? Before the tour?
The biggest indicator that the deer means something more is most apparent when Chris first meets Rose's father, Dean, in person. His reaction to the deer story is notably odd, as he praises Rose for hitting the deer and goes on to rant about the entire species and how they ruin the local neighborhoods. To eradicate them would be a service to the community, according to Dean. Symbolically, black buck was used as a post-Reconstruction era racial slur to describe black men who refused to acquiesce to white authority figures and were considered a menace to white America. The black buck became a stereotype in America throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries that reduced African American men to the villainous role of savage brutes who would cause devastation to white property, including the rape of white women, and thus necessitated brutal measures in order to maintain order for the good of the community. In Get Out, it is in this context that the buck is transformed into a symbol of white dominance over the black male. Later in the film, the fact that the taxidermied buck is displayed above the television is no mistake.
Missy's office. She takes appointments in there.
She's a therapist, right?
Psychiatrist, yeah. Yeah, it turns out people up here are just as messed up in the head as they are in the city. This is Jeremy. That's Rose's little brother. There he is.
I've heard stories.
Yeah, I bet you have. He's studying medicine now. Wants to be just like his old man. You'll meet him.
All right, cool.
Picked these up in Bali. That's pretty eclectic. I'm a traveler, and I can't help it. I keep bringing souvenirs back. It's such a privilege to be able to experience another person's culture. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Oh, you're gonna love this. My dad's claim to fame was beat by Jesse Owens in the qualifying round for the Berlin Olympics in 1936. Those are the ones where...
Owens won in front of Hitler.
Yeah, what a moment, what a moment. I mean, Hitler's up there with all his perfect Aryan race bullshit. This black dude comes along, proves him wrong in front of the entire world. Amazing.
Tough break for your dad, though.
Yeah. He almost got over it. That's the basement. We had to seal it up. Some black mold down there.
Dean's mentioning of the black mold symbolizes the fact that he sees black people as the germ of society that need to be locked up. Later on in the film, the viewer finds out that the basement is where the family keeps all the black people that they kidnap in order to torture them, bringing a very literal sense to the black mold symbol. During the grand tour of the house, Dean casually showed off his trophies from far-off African locales: statues, instruments, tapestries, elements he had cherry-picked from black culture to display in his own home. A simple but effective symbolic display of black appropriation. Like the black people Rose hunted and seduced, spoiler alert, Dean's favorite bits of blackness were given new life as decorative trophies. Later on in the film, the distant Armitage family members also begin their own cherry-picking from black culture. This quite literally symbolizes that the family wants to steal the qualities of African American culture that they deem worthy for themselves.
Mother loved her kitchen, so we keep a piece of her in here. Georgina, this is Chris. This is Rose's boyfriend.
Hi.
Hello.
Now for the pièce de résistance. The field of play. I love it. The nearest house is across the lake. It's total privacy. I know what you're thinking.
What?
Come on, I get it. White family, black servants. It's a total cliche.
I wasn't gonna take you there.
Well, you didn't have to, believe me. No, we hired Georgina and Walter to help care for my parents. when they died, I couldn't bear to let them go. I mean, boy, I hate the way it looks.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
By the way, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. Best president in my lifetime, hands down.
I agree.
Yeah.
The camera panning in on Georgina in the kitchen while Dean mentions that he always keeps a piece of his mother with him at all times symbolizes the fact that he literally does just that, considering his mother's brain is in Georgina's body. It's a part of that whole torture spiel I mentioned earlier while talking about the basement. The Armitage family murders black people and then utilizes their bodies for their Caucasian brains. Because aside from their blatant racism, they still view the bodies of black people as more able, stronger, smarter, etc. This part is loaded with symbols and imagery that remind us of the history of slavery in the Old South, starting with a plantation like Armitage Estate and some older-looking costumes. The echoes visually remind us that our society's past is ever interwoven into our present. The purpose of the symbolism in this film is to remind us that no matter how accepting someone seems, they could only be pretending to sympathize for their own benefit.